Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. It's Scott, founder of Save Our Shops Louisiana. I wanted to quickly introduce you to the SOS Louisiana mission of acquiring proven and successful local businesses. As I mentioned last week in episode 3, Buy versus Build, I wanted to use this episode number 4, and this podcast in general to document my process and progress of finding, valuing, offering, closing, and transitioning local businesses as I acquire them. So this episode is dedicated to finding of Louisiana businesses, documenting and doing, which is the all-important step of doing in order to reach out to existing businesses for sale and creating a pipeline of those businesses. By the end of this episode, you'll have a look at my repeatable playbook on finding $1 to $2 million opportunities across service, wholesale, and construction-oriented businesses that are my target markets. First is the public marketplace, and this is very common. This is the one that most people that are interested in buying a business will go to look. They'll go online to use bizbuysell.com, to use BizQuest, and various other tools. And you can use these tools, and I'm going to share my screen here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so here's my BizBuySell account, and I have this set up to be able to search local companies. I do it on a regular basis. You can go to these websites, again, BizBuySell, BizQuest, two very common ones. You can create an account and then set up your filters for the types of businesses that you're looking for, the price range that you're looking in, the locations that you're looking in, if you want to be more narrow or less narrow than I am, and even the listing types. So for me, I am only interested in established businesses. I'm not looking for real estate or startup businesses or franchises. I'm only interested in existing established businesses. So with the filters I have set in the various industries I'm looking in, as well as in the price range, there are currently 51 on this website portal. Quest has some different listings, but in general, they're fairly the same. Brokers use these to post listings just like you would if you were looking for a home and you went to Zillow or some other publicly available website. Brokers would list the homes that they have for sale. And this is one of the most common ways to search for businesses. In fact, I have it set up when new listings become available to send me an email alert so that I can log in and take a look at the website. You could see, for example, here's a landscaping business for sale in Southeast Louisiana, and they're asking $2.2 million, and they have an EBITDA of $503,000, gross revenues on $2,022,000, and then they also have real estate not included in that asking price for $750,000. And there's a general business description. There's some attached documents, sometimes like this one, how they are evaluating that business, how they come up with their valuation, a little bit of history about the business. There's 22 employees, including 10 full-time and 12 contractors. And then during busy season, it looks like they'll hire an additional 3 employees or so. A little bit about the real estate. Overall, this is a very good listing. It's got lots of detail and lots of information that you can review. I would imagine a lot of people are probably looking at this listing and asking for additional information, as I will. And one of the ways you do that is just fill out the contact form. You can type in an additional message, and it will send the broker an email. There's also broker information here. You can contact a broker directly if you choose to. I am interested in some information, and it's actually not that difficult. Let me go ahead and do it. See, again, the doing is the important part. All right, that's all there is to it. Hopefully the broker will get back in touch with us within the next 24, 48 hours, and we'll be able to get some additional information from that. I don't want to really get into valuation on this episode. That's going to be a future episode. There are valuation documents associated here, but this is publicly available. If that's something that interests you right now, you can go in and take a look at that. It's not for this episode for me. So let me go ahead and stop sharing that piece of it. This is a very simple way using these public listings to find businesses that are on the market. Some of those have been on the market for some time. Maybe there's not a lot of interest. Maybe there's missing information, or things might seem a little off based on the way it's listed. But it allows us to vet listings very quickly, looking for businesses that have been around a while, businesses that fit within my valuation range, that seller discretionary earning range, with a multiple of generally 2 to 5 times. So I can vet those quickly. I can choose whether or not to follow up with a broker for those types of listings. Those public listings, again, they're an efficient way to create deal flow, to start to build a pipeline, and to understand how brokers value businesses, because they will share, like in that one document, how they came up with that valuation as they send you additional information. All right, so that is the public portal way to build a pipeline of existing businesses. The second, and to me, the more important way to build my pipeline is off market sourcing. So I have several strategies going on how I want businesses that are not yet listed to the public to come into my pipeline, to come into the process that I use to evaluate and make an offer on existing businesses. The relationships and the persistence is really what creates that pipeline. And there are several ways that I use. Perhaps you've already seen some of them, such as the social media approach. So, social media and content outreach. I use LinkedIn, I use Facebook, I use Instagram, and I use this podcast to develop content. I target existing business owners, I target business professionals. I try and target experienced managers and supervisors who can help fill my operator pipeline, as well as potentially give me the almighty and the most important piece of doing all of this is the referrals to existing owners who may be thinking about succession and how to sell their business. So building a referral pipeline is one of the most critical features that I'm doing. So social media plays a big part in that, but so does direct business outreach, targeting businesses that exist. There's lots of ways to create an email list, email campaign. There's parish clerk of court records on businesses. There's industry directories, and you can compile those things and build a mailing list, as well as collecting email addresses through my social media. That will start with some type of letter or email that acknowledges the success that they've had in the business and why I would be interested in their business, how I might value their business or a value proposition, and of course, guaranteeing them confidentiality. So if they have chosen not to go the public portal route, there might be a reason for that. And in fact, many of the listings on the public portal do say, hey, please don't reach out to my employees, go through the broker. This is a confidential transaction. A lot of don't have business names on there, just general locations and general size information. So in order to help build this direct campaign, in fact, I have another video I want to show you. I'm going to share my screen with again. This is one of the ways that I reach out to business owners as well as reach out to brokers. I put together a media box, I guess you could call it. And this is just me putting it together. Let me go ahead and share this. We'll go ahead and watch this video. It's just a minute or so. Hey, everybody. It's Scott with Save Our Shops, Louisiana. And today I'm in my dining room instead of in my office where I normally come to you from. The reasons being is that today we're putting together some broker boxes and press boxes, I guess you could call them. At least I'll be pressing them into somebody's hand. Came up with our own little box, the Save Our Shops Louisiana box. It talks about how we buy businesses, going out to individual brokers. And let me show you here. Put this down here. Inside each box, we're going to put a coffee mug. These are various colors, 15-ounce mug. I'm going to go ahead and open one here for you. You can take a look at it. All of these things are available on our website at soslouisiana.com. This one here is black. and it has our shopping bag logo. So save our shops with some shopping bags there. We also have the store that you all have seen before. Let's see, that one's right here. So there's some custom language going on inside the box saying, hey, call us. Let's have a cup of coffee. Let's talk about a deal. So we're putting a mug inside each box. We're also putting in a tote bag, different colors, a black and a gray tote bag, or excuse me, brown. We'll go ahead and put a brown one in here. Yeah, that's a musical one. And then we also are including a hat. So as I've shown you before, there's several different hats, a crawfish hat like mine. This one is a musician. We also have a few pelican hats. Of course, this one's not going in a box, but just to give you an idea of the logo. And then we're putting in a pitch deck so that brokers can understand who we are and what we do and how our mission is to acquire local Louisiana companies. Now back to the episode 4, how to find Louisiana businesses. All right. So that was me the other day putting together these pitch boxes and send those out to some brokers. That's what I was preparing to do with a pitch deck inside that lets them know I acquire local Louisiana companies. These are the types of companies that I'm looking for. These are the price ranges that I'm looking for, the seller discretionary earnings ranges. I also have a similar setup or deck for business owners. So I can reach out to existing business owners or maybe referral type options. We gave a couple of hats away last week as part of a referral campaign. So it was refer the best businesses in Louisiana. That campaign in particular was not so much about reaching out to owners who are looking to sell. It was about developing relationships with current owners who may be able to refer me to business owners that are considering selling. It does take time to build a pipeline of off market businesses, but it is definitely worth it. So, some of the other things that I have going on, I'll do better. Like that video that I took of putting together the boxes, I have to do better when I do other things that are outside of my little studio here, my little office, such as business trade shows and conferences. There are industry trade shows, there's regional trade shows, there's focused trade shows like wholesale supplier shows, boat and marina shows, and getting out there and talking to business owners, developing that network of people who can refer me to other business owners that may be considering sales. There's local meetings and networks like through the Chamber of Commerce, Louisiana Economic Development, SCORE, which is retired executives. There's roundtables and industry breakfasts that people attend to talk about their business. It's a networking type of activity that's important for me to be engaged in and share more of that with you so that you could see as I get into my first deal what that approach was and how I'm acquiring deals. So social media, definitely important. Local meetings and networks, definitely important. And that direct business outreach. All of those are activities that I do in order to develop relationships, keep a consistent presence, and be respectful to business owners as they're going through this process or considering the succession of their business. It's very personal to them, and I respect that as I've been there before. So, a couple of other things, right? Why brokers matter. Brokers control a lot of the deal flow and the seller relationships. I want to treat them as partners. I want them to share in the experience. We want to keep an open communication and relationship. In fact, why don't I go ahead and show the broker deck that I send out in the package, as well as send in email campaigns and such. It's an introduction, and I try and refer to them as partners, brokers, partners, because of how important that they are to the process. And I recognize that, and I want them to know that I recognize that, which is why I'm putting together those media boxes for them. Let's go ahead and take a look at this pitch deck. I talk a little bit here about the challenges facing Louisiana small businesses, which I've covered in a lot of my previous episodes and shorts. 457,000 small businesses in Louisiana, employing 54% of the workforce out there. And those businesses, many of those businesses, have owners that are the generation older than I, looking to retire and don't have a solid succession plan. And those are, in particular, our targets. the company, Save Our Shops Louisiana, talk a little bit about that, talk a little bit about me and my experience in various industries and the network that I have in Louisiana, the operator network, the mission, why brokers should want to work with us as far as the evaluation and acquisition criteria. What am I looking for? Again, that seller discretionary earnings of 250 to 600K, multiples in the 2 to 5 range, good past performance, healthy customer retention, long tenured staff with operational continuity, the various industries that I target so that they have an idea of what I am and what I'm not looking for at this time. I've mentioned these before too, but restaurants and bars, retail boutiques, startups, businesses in distress or require turnaround, owner dependent businesses. This is something that I hadn't really talked about before. I think we'll get into that in future episodes, particularly as we go through valuation, which is going to be in the next few episodes. An owner dependent business is where the owner or a single employee is critical to the functioning of the business. And if that person is lost, much of the business will be lost. So picture a plumbing business where the owner is the plumber, the master plumber, and he is the only employee in the business, for example. I'm not an experienced plumber, so buying his business and trying to transition it is not going to be a successful process. So we don't even go there. And then we outline the process that I take with brokers. Hey, send me something saying you got a business for sale. Plus, I'll be monitoring the public websites as well. I'll respond within 48 hours, sign an NDA, review the financials. If I have any questions, I'll do it quickly, and then submit a non-binding letter of intent with what I believe is a fair offer. And then we'll get it through to closing. The goal is to close within 120 days. So I'm going to move very quickly once I identify a business that fits my criteria. Then talk a little bit more about why local business matters, the culture loss, the staff turnover, vendor disruption when they sell out of state, and what it means to keep those things local, keep the legacy intact, and transition that business to new local ownership with their buy-in and with their help, the current owner. So this is the pitch deck that I shared with brokers, a little variation on the one that I would share with an owner, but very similar, as you can imagine. And this just another tool to try and create relationships, build relationships. Then, of course, there's the difficult part of actually maintaining relationships. So a lot of effort and time has to go into that as well. All right. And then lastly, today, I think we're going to talk a little bit about the various outreach programs. I mentioned direct to owner. I mentioned direct to broker. I mentioned using the publicly available information. But I also have to understand what it is I'm trying to accomplish when I'm doing cold outreach. So keeping a short, respectful tone, directly to the point when I'm talking with owners. They don't like to mess around in most cases. They're busy, and we all are. But in particular, they built their business focusing on what was important, and that was generating revenue, keeping employees, building customers, and that's what they're focused on. Not necessarily thinking about today, how do I sell my business and how much can I get for it? Same thing with a broker, keeping an email quick to the point and making sure that they know that I understand the confidential conversations that have to occur. Then there's sponsoring or attending local chamber events, hosting a succession planning meeting. That is something that I want to get into with a We Buy Local type of campaign and getting several owners to attend. This would be building that private pipeline and then using as many templated type of approaches in direct mail, in email campaigns. I've started looking into television in order to build confidence and name brand recognition from owners so that when they do get to that point, gee, I'm thinking about retiring. Who am I going to call? How do I go about retiring? And hopefully Save Our Shops Louisiana is on their mind. 3 paths: public listings, off-market outreach, and broker partnerships. These are the critical paths that I am following. Hopefully you saw a little bit of that today. We're going to do more in future episodes in the actual doing so that you can see what I am doing. That's the purpose that I started this podcast. Would love your feedback, would love your advice, particularly if you know of a local business or owner that is thinking about succession. Would love to talk to them. If you know of a successful business or have a favorite business in Louisiana, even if they're not considering succession, I'd love to be able to talk with them. Maybe they know someone and can refer me. But even if you don't know a business owner that you think would be interested in talking to me, that's okay. You can still support our mission by following, subscribing, liking, sharing. Go to our website, soslouisiana.com, purchase merchandise, wear that Louisiana pride, talk about the mission so that people know what it is. Maybe those things will all come back and equal some leads for us in order to acquire additional Louisiana businesses. So until next week with episode 5, every Wednesday, 6 p.m. on our podcast, LA Biz SOS on YouTube. We'll see you there.